So we're gonna skip over the hearsay and talk about the facts of this machine and the pros and cons. And of course, we're gonna cook up again, because we got to, right? So off top, we see that it has 61 keys. And if you're gonna ask me, how do they feel? They are semi-weighted keys and they feel pretty good. I know some people will probably want weighted keys, but they feel all right. Touch strip. We've seen it before. We've seen it on the MPC Studio, and now it is on the MPC Key 61. In addition to that, we have a pitch wheel and a mod wheel, which is insane when we think about it in perspective here. And they feel okay. The touchscreen that's on the MPC Key 61 is the exact same touchscreen as the MPC ONE Live and Live 2. So I know a lot of people will have mixed feelings about that. I'm in between. So the next thing that everybody's gonna ask me is about the pads, and they feel pretty good. They are the same pads as the MPC ONE. So they are smaller than the MPC Live, Live 2, and X. You have your pad banks over here. And then you have tap tempo, metronome, ARP, latch, and octave down, which let's go ahead and. So it has some good range to it. You have full level, 16 level, and of course full level if you press shift, which mind you, there are 2 shift buttons. And I believe that's a quality of life type thing, because if you had to shift all the way over here versus over here, then yeah, that would be a little bit annoying. Q links are the same as the MPC Live and the MPC ONE, and your data wheel and your transport buttons right over here. You have your edit button, which usually says program edit, but now it's the edit button. You can shift that over and go to the SY effects. And then you have your grid button. If you want to see the grid, you can go and preview, the different things that you have done in here, and it functions all the same as it does on the MPC series. You have the main button over here where you can go and press shift and menu, and you can get into your browser, in which you can use your MPC expansions and go and search here. One thing I do want to point out is it does have 32 gigs, but you can add a solid state drive. You have keyboard control over here where you can route things, and then you can also do sample, edit, time correct, undo, redo, and automation. Starting off left and going to the right, we have an expression pedal input, foot switch input, sustain input, and then we have a MIDI through, out, and in full-size 5-pin MIDI jacks because that's the way we like to rock. And then we have CV and gate, and we have over 8 of those. Then we go all the way over here to the right. We have the gain input knob. Then we have 2 XLR 1/4" jack inputs, so you can plug up a microphone to it and you can switch from line in to instrument. And then we have 2 1/4" outputs right here and 2 main outs, headphone jack, and then USB hub with only 2, and then a way for you to plug it to the computer. And then you have your network input and the power switch. And now we are back to this as far as the power supply. If you didn't notice, there is no SD card slot. I don't know why they decided that. Carry on. We saw that AKAI added a new sound UI so you can search for sounds. They added a sound button on the MPC Key 61. We press that and we see that we have new plugins like Fabric XL, OP4, which is a FM synth, and I know you guys wanted that. Stage piano, stage EP, organ, studio strings, Fabric electric piano, and Fabric piano. Now let's go ahead and make another beat. So I got this drum line. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it in now. We're gonna start with the pads first. All new sounds though. Let's go. So why does this thing even exist? Like, why is AKAI getting into the workstation market? Well, it's quite simple. If I talk to any of my mentors, they will tell you in the 80s, 90s, the early 2000s, workstations were prominent, but the sequencers were horrible. Yeah, and that includes the following. The Triton, terrible at sequencing and sampling. The Fantom, terrible at sequencing and sampling. The ASR10, though it sounds great when you're sampling, the sequencer is complete garbage. And then you start to see where AKAI just jumps into the market with the MPC Key 61, and yeah, it's crazy. And even though I'm gushing over this keyboard a whole bunch because I wanted keys as much as anybody else so I can practice, there are things that, you know, maybe the Fantom O does a little better. Like one thing I can name off the top of the head is 1-button keys. Now I know the pads can be put into progressions and all that stuff, but it would be dope if they added that into the MPC Key 61, or at least in a future update, and have that, because that opens up the market a little bit more for the beginners. And yes, I know you keyboard enthusiasts, and especially like me as a terrible keyboard player, I know you want people to learn, and that would benefit them more than pressing one key. However, you have to get people into the ecosystem.